What's up, guys? I'm SaltEMike, and this is your Star Citizen Week in Review for November 20th, 2023. 321.1 went live this week, but it was obviously overshadowed by the biggest ship sale of the year, the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. And everything you saw at Citizencon is a lot less polished than you thought. All that and more on today's Week in Review. And as always, if this is your first week in review, this is where I take all of the official Star Citizen news each week, put it into one video, and share some of my opinions about it. I also live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/SaltEMike, every day but Monday, so I can get this video out to you guys, starting at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time. But without further ado, we did have a couple patches leading up to live, so let's check out what went on in patch notes this week. And with that, we'll start out on Monday, which was very simple. The only update to the game was giving players the option to give a crime stat for players tractoring their ship without being in their party. This also allows players to ask for help without the added security concerns of needing to add the person helping to a party that they may not know, because if you're in a party, you have access to your ship and all these other things. So it just opens that door, which can be a problem. For Tuesday, it was just some bug fixes. One major issue in Arena Commander where game modes weren't launching was fixed. And then we went live on Thursday. With all the features we've been showing you for a while, and the biggest features, in case you guys haven't been following much, we'll start out with vehicle tractor beams. And this doesn't just include vehicle tractor beams, it's also a new dedicated handheld beam as well. They do more than what you might expect in some aspects, but some also basic functionality is missing from these new tractor beams. You can tow other ships with ships like the SRV, and ships like the Vulture can combine their salvage and tractor beams sort of together, and it's really neat. But not all of them, as ships spawned in for salvage missions, have some rules about what you can do with them. I really love where this is going, but they're still missing functionality to the normal multi-tool beam. Basically, the multi-tool tractor beam can do everything, but like attaching mining bags, for example, this isn't a thing on any of the new beams in my experience, and there's tons of desync with these tractor beams as well, which is quite natural given the state of the game. Then data heist missions. I'll be honest, I didn't get much time with these, as the only footage that I have was on the PTU and I wasn't able to finish it, but I don't have personal experience with them, but the gist is that you can help a hacker hack into the bunker and take some data. The owners of that data will try to sabotage their servers by turning off the cooling, and you'll have to turn the cooling back on to complete the heist. There are many levels of these missions. I hear where groups will enjoy, so try it out, and maybe I'll get a dedicated video or something like that at some point for you guys, but gaining rep in bunkers that are largely broken is kind of difficult. Then there's ship trespass. Now, if you join a ship that you are not a party member of, the owner of that ship and its party members will see you as hostile and can kill you without penalty. There are tons of edge cases listed in the notes, but it's a simple thing. If you aren't invited, people can defend their own ships now. Next up is IAE, and day one was alien ships, and the star of the show was the Gatak Sulin, I think is how we say it. It was the star. It is a starter ship and is probably one of the best I've seen. It's priced at the 100i price, or basically the price of a AAA game, and you just get everything you can possibly need to start out. It's super nimble, can kill most ships you come across in PvE. It has 6 SCU of cargo space and a bed. There really aren't any missing features from the ship for a starter. The crazy thing is, it lands vertically, which wasn't, believe it or not, it really wasn't that hard to get used to. I thought it was going to be super tough. And then day two was Aegis. Honestly, there was nothing new to share here. As always, the Idris and the Javelin were sold out very quickly. Very random, but there were 2 videos in the brochure on this day about a bounty hunter named Garmin Humble. It's really funny and good. Links are in the video description. They're super goofy, but they're good, and you should totally check them out. And then day 3 was yesterday, which is Crusader and Tumbril, the Crusader C1. It's basically new, and we've seen it in the PTU, but it's not that new. It's going for 110, and it's basically the Cutlass competitor from Crusader. I love it personally. It's fast, it has some firepower, and it can fit a good amount of cargo and vehicles. The Storm is no longer going to be teased in the sneak peek because it's out. And it's here, but it also came with a friend. There's an AA version that's going for $90, and the regular version that we've been seeing for a while is going for $80. And that really covers it for IAE for last week, but the coming week is going to be a lot more coverage, basically, because we have a full week of IAE. So I imagine this section will be quite beefy, and we, at the very least, expect to hear a lot more about the new RSI mining ship. So very excited for that. So keep tuned, get subscribed to check that out. And then let's move on to roadmap updates. And we're going to start out with Committed, the first 20 hairs that were shown at Citizencon. We'll see these by the end of the year. I don't know what that means for the rest of the customizer, though. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And then added to the 322 cards, the Derelict Settlements from Citizencon will now be added to Stanton, and we saw a few in Pyro during the preview. The rest is Arena Commander, but related to these settlements. Bloodshot Ridge is a Stanton settlement that will make for such a different and cool FPS experience. Maker's Point is another settlement in Hurston, and it's stormy, so we'll experience the PU knockdowns from wind in Arena Commander as well now. Who's excited? I know I'm not. And then AC Multi-Crew is here. I'm really excited for this, no jokes. This will make crewing a ship with a turret a bit more interesting, as you will get a lot more action with it now. You'll always be fighting. You'll be able to hone your skills with your pilot and communication. It'll be great. And it's likely the first step to getting engineering in experimental mode as well. Then for video updates, we had an Inside Star Citizen, and in the last segment, I used all the footage from ISC when talking about the ships. So they're using IAE as an advertisement for the event, and they covered everything this week, basically. Next week, I expect to have quite a bit more from the show, as there are a lot more days to tease there. Now, for Star Citizen Live, that was very different from ISC. It was a question and answer session, with the FPS teams and the flight team, or in this case, Yogi. And the first question was related to ping. Not ping in terms of networking, but the wall hacking that we saw at Citizencon. And it really looked like wall hacking, and the community was concerned.
But it's the case of, like, you know, how emissions tie into this, right? So, for example, we have the idea of decoys and jammers potentially on a suit. Those could be, you know, components inside suits that would essentially make your emissions much lower, maybe practically invisible. That's obviously going to be down to gameplay balance. And if you're in like a heavy armor, maybe you have heavy emissions. But there's always like there's a forward and backward with this, right? So if you're light and you're invisible, and you scan, for example, a heavy, you should be able to see him in theory. But if there's a heavy, for example, and he scans you, and you're in more of a suit with a much lower emission, or you're in a state with much lower emissions, you potentially might not come up. So there's so many things we can do to balance it, and we essentially showed it at its strongest, right? Because
now I think they addressed this quite well, and they gave gameplay examples of where they could go, and also made sense of why they showed it at the strongest. So let me know what you guys thought about that, and I definitely think it makes sense at the event to show what it can do. The next question was asked about the automatic reload when you run out of bullets. They don't quite understand the question, but I think we did get a pretty cool answer.
That's the whole thing we're working on at the moment, right? It's called the action matrix. So essentially, this thing is basically supposed to make Star Citizen extremely fluid, like you'd expect. Like if you're doing actions, they have the intended result of what you think. So when you're playing a game, if you have to think about something, that usually means there's not the level of fluidity you'd expect, right? So for example, with our slide, if you switch weapon during the slide, like if you press 1, as soon as you go into the slide, the expectation of you would be, as soon as I regain control of my character, I switch weapon. And that's something that we have to manually put in, because we have to basically author and dictate which actions can go into which other actions. So the whole idea of the action matrix work is essentially it's like a designer can go in and say, well, if I'm reloading and I want to be able to cancel out of it, I should be able to. And obviously that's something that, we've specifically talked about a lot. We've heard it requested a lot as well. And it is something that we are planning on doing. Obviously that being the biggest example of how the action matrix will come in handy.
So he mentioned this sort of queue system for actions and the ability to cancel said actions with this new bit of work they're basically working on. That's going to be huge. But I still want to know if they will remove that damn auto reload, because it is awful. I mean, I guess you can cancel it at the very least, but it shouldn't be there at all. Then they asked about armor being absent from the looting screen. And will we have it in the PU?
It will. We're working on it. So yeah, PU version will have armor and clothing. Basically, we'll have two views. So we have the main view, which will be very similar to what we show at Citizencon. And then the secondary view that the player can go to by using a keybind, a shortcut, then we'll bring up the either clothing or armor, depending on the context, and all the similar operations we currently have for the other ones. Yep. Our main concern now at the moment, it's very clean, because for Squadron we have a very controlled limit of items that the player can carry. PU can go wild with the heavy armor, so I think we are in talks with the UI and user experience teams to try to balance it out, get the best experience, but try not to clutter as much.
All right, so we will, but the PU is way more complicated, so it seems like it has much further away. It's going to be much further away than I was hoping, as they're just in talks at the moment, which is really disappointing. And then they talked to Yogi about a lot of the flight stuff, but all of this felt very much like the last 2 years. His team is small, and they have endless work. And he was basically just here to set the expectations that they have their ideas, but implementing them is very, very difficult. And that's where we're at. The same place we were a couple years ago is they have a lot of good ideas, but they also have a lot of ships. And then for other updates this week, we start out with a sneak peek. This is the same room we saw in the raids for Citizencon. Also on display is that trolley they used to move boxes. These seem really far out, so this peek is very sneaky for now, I would say. But if those trolleys come in more soon, I wouldn't be surprised, and I'm not going to be mad about it either. There was a guide contest that they're doing. They're basically doing a contest not unlike the Foundation Festival, but sort of. Instead of using the guide system, they're asking us to make guides on YouTube, and they'll basically judge which ones are the best. I think this is pretty cool, but in general, it is whatever. It's just pretty simple stuff. I'm working on a mining guide, but I have to mine a lot more before I make it, so I won't be putting anything out, but good luck to everyone who is. Post is linked in the description for the rules and what you need to do to get into it. The buyback token schedule for 2024 came out. So for those of you guys don't know what this is, anytime you melt, or in this case, returning a ship or a product that you bought on the website, you get store credit back. But that item goes into your buyback list, and you can buy it back for new money whenever you want, or every quarter you get a little token that you can buy something back with store credit. This is the 2024 schedule for those tokens, essentially. Then we had a lore post, and this was originally posted in 2019. It's super old, and it's just the history between the humans and Banu from first contact to present. Now, I might have missed some things this week. There was a lot of stuff, but that'll do it for this week. So down below, leave a comment. Let me know if I missed anything, because there were so many things to get through. I think, actually, I just realized that I did miss one thing. Roadmap Roundup, Jake on Spectrum made a comment about the replication layer testing. It's not in 321.1, but it is slated for the 321.x section, so we are likely getting a 321.2, or at some point during 321.1, we can expect to see the preview channel come up. It's no longer, I was going to say Pyro preview, but the preview channel is going to come up, and we're going to see that replication layer testing. And given the amount of 30Ks I had this weekend, I can't wait. Let me know down below, guys. Let me know how you're enjoying IAE. Let me know how you're enjoying 321.1. Hit the like button. And if you live in America, early happy Thanksgiving. My family is coming in just a few minutes, so I got to get this video edited and everything. So make sure you hit the like button for a quick and hopefully swift edit. And yeah. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe if you're new here and enjoyed Week in Review. And leave a comment down below on anything I missed or anything we discussed today. And I will see you guys next week.